teacher from Belmont University. I've been here since fall break, so for about the past 8 weeks, and this is what we've been working on in Theater 3 and 4. So all the costumes are chosen by students, the set has been built by students. It's really incredible what they put together. So I hope that you all enjoy, and this is A Christmas Carol.
Marley was dead to begin with. There is no doubt whatsoever about that. The register of his burial was signed by the clergyman, the clerk, the undertaker, and the chief mourner. Scrooge signed it, and Scrooge's name was good for any piece of business that he chose to put his hand to. Marley was as dead as a doornail. Now, I don't know what there is particularly dead about a doornail. I should think a coffin nail would be a deader piece of iron, but far be it from me to change the expression, or the country's done for. So, permit me to repeat, once again, emphatically, that Marley was as dead as a doornail. Scrooge knew he was dead. Of course he did. How could it be otherwise? Scrooge and he were partners for I don't know how many years. Scrooge was his sole executor, his sole administrator, his sole friend, and the only man who mourned him, if Scrooge can be said to have mourned at all. And the mention of Marley's funeral brings me back to the point which I have started from. There is no doubt whatsoever that Marley was dead. Scrooge never painted out old Marley's name. There it stood, years afterward, beside the warehouse door, Scrooge and Marley. The firm was known as Scrooge and Marley. Sometimes people new to the business called Scrooge, and sometimes Marley, but he answered to both names. It was all the same to him. It was bitterly cold, and the fog was as thick as pea soup on that Christmas Eve of 1843, when Scrooge sat busy in his counting house, with his clerk nearby trying to warm himself at a candle, but since he didn't have much of an imagination, he failed.
Merry Christmas, Uncle.
What?
I said, Merry Christmas, Uncle. God save you.
Ah, humbug.
Christmas a humbug, Uncle. Surely you don't mean that.
Of course I mean it. What's Christmas to you but a time for being a year older and not an hour richer, and time for paying taxes with no money?
What reason have you to be dismal? You're rich enough.
What reason have you to be happy? You're poor enough. And besides, Merry Christmas indeed. I think every fellow who goes around with Merry Christmas on their lips should be boiled with his own pudding and buried with a stake of holly through his heart.
Uncle!
He should. Nephew, let me keep Christmas in my way and you keep it in your own.
Keep it, but you don't keep it.
Well, let me leave it alone then. A lot of good it's done you.
Well, there are many things I have to be grateful for, even if they didn't show a profit, I dare say. Christmas, among the rest. But if anything can be considered of Christmas apart from the sacred source of its name and origin, I'm sure to have always thought of Christmas as a good time. Kind, forgiving, charitable, pleasant time. The only time of year I know of when men and women seem by one consent to open their shut-up hearts freely and think of each other as if they were really passengers to the grave. And therefore, Uncle, although it has never put a scrap of silver or gold in my pocket, I think it has done me good, and it will do me good, and I say, God bless it!
Another sound out of you and you'll spend your Christmas by losing your position.
Don't be angry, Uncle. Come and dine with us tomorrow.
I'll see myself in hell first.
But why, Uncle?
Why? Why? Let me ask you a question. Why did you get married?
Because I fell in love, of course.
You fell in love, yes. Good afternoon, nephew.
I want nothing from you. I ask nothing from you. Why can't we be friends?
Good afternoon.
I'm sorry to find you so resolute. We've never had a quarrel, you and I came all this way to give you greetings of the season, but I'll keep my Christmas humor to the last. So, a Merry Christmas, Uncle!
Good afternoon.
And a Happy New Year!
Good afternoon.
Oh, God. And a Merry Christmas to you too, Bob Craft.
Thank you, sir. Merry Christmas.
There's another fellow, my clerk, with 15 shillings a week and a wife and a family talking about Merry Christmas. Oh, we're tired of Bedlam.
Scrooge and Marley's, I believe. By pleasure of addressing Mr. Scrooge or Mr. Marley?
Well, Marley's dead. In fact, he died 7 years ago this very night.
I'm quite sorry to hear that. Still, I have no doubt that his generosity is well represented by his surviving partner.
At this festive time of year, Mr. Scrooge, it is more than usually needed that we make some slight provision for the poor and needy. Hundreds are in want of basic needs. Thousands are in want of common comforts, sir.
Are there no prisons? Did they disappear?
No, sir, there are still plenty of prisons.
And the workhouses for the poor? They're still in full operation, I presume.
Yes, very busy at this time of year.
So the treadmill and the poor law are in full vigor then?
Yes, though I wish I could say they were not.
Oh. Well, good. I thought from something you had said that something had stopped them in their useful course. I'm glad to hear it.
Well, given that these institutions scarcely furnish the Christian cheer to the multitude, a few of us were trying to put together a fund to buy the poor and needy some food and drink and maybe some means to warm themselves with. We choose this time because above all others, it is one when want is keenly felt and abundance rejoices. What should I put you down for?
Nothing.
Oh, you wish to remain anonymous?
I wish to be left alone. I don't make myself merry at Christmas, and I can't afford to make idle people merry. I am taxed for the institutions I have mentioned, and they cost enough. Those who are worse off must go there.
But many can't go there, and many would rather die.
Well, if they would rather die, then perhaps they should just go ahead and do it. Decrease the surplus population. Besides, I wouldn't know anything about it.
Well, you could know it, sir.
It's none of my business. I have plenty of my business to attend to, and it occupies me constantly, and I thank you, gentlemen, to leave me to it. Now, good afternoon. Get out of here! I did not ask to be bothered with that noise. Oh. And I suppose you'll want the day off too, I suppose.
If it's quite convenient, sir.
It's not convenient. It's not fair. If I was to hold back half a shilling, you'd think you're being abused, no doubt, and yet you don't think me ill-used for paying a day's wages for no work.
It's only once a year, sir.
Poor excuse for picking a man's pockets every 25th of December. But suppose you must have it. Be here all the earlier the next morning.
Yes, sir, I certainly shall.
Father!
Hello, my dear son!
I've been waiting for you.
Let's go by Cornhill and watch the children play. Someday you will be there too, playing with them.
I feel I'm getting stronger every day.
And do you know what day tomorrow is?
Why, it's Christmas Day.
And I have the whole day off to spend with you.
Hurrah for Christmas!
And at the grindstone he was, a squeezing, wrenching, grasping, covetous old thinner to be sure. Secret, self-contained, and solitary as an oyster. He carried his own low temperature with him everywhere he went. He iced his office in the dog days and didn't thaw it 1 degree at Christmas. Scrooge always took his melancholy dinner in the same melancholy tavern, and this night was no different. He read all the papers and beguiled the rest of the evening with his banker's book before he took himself home to bed. He lived in chambers which had once belonged to his deceased partner. Upon arriving in his chambers, Scrooge took off his cravat, put on his dressing gown, slippers, and his nightcap, and sat down before the fire to take his gruel, for he had a cold in his head. It was a very low fire indeed, nothing on such a bitter night. He was obliged to sit close to it and brood over it before he could extract the least sensation of warmth from such a handful of fuel.
Scrooge. Humbug, I won't believe it.
Scrooge.
What are you? What do you want with me?
Much.
Who are you?
Ask me who I was.
Who were you then?
In life, I was your partner, Jacob Marley.
Ha, I won't believe it.
What evidence do you have beyond that of your senses?
I don't know.
Why do you doubt your senses?
Well, because a little thing affects them. Disorder of the stomach makes them cheats. You could be a undigested bit of beef or a blot of mustard or an underdone bit of potato. There's more gravy than of grave about you. It's a dreadful apparition. Why do you trouble me?
Man of worldly mind, do you believe in me or not?
I do. I must. But why have you come to me?
It is required that of every man that his spirit shall walk among his fellow men and travel far and wide. And if he cannot do so, he must do so after death and witness what he cannot share, but might have shared, and turn to happiness. Oh, woe is me.
You're fettered. Tell me why.
I wear the chains I forged in life. I wore it link by link, yard by yard, and wore it of my free will. Is this pattern strange to you? Or would you like to know the weight and length of the strong coil you bear yourself? It is as long and as heavy as this 7 Christmas Eves ago. You have labored it on since. It is a ponderous chain.
Jacob, please speak comfort to me.
I have none to give. I have little time. I cannot rest. I cannot linger anywhere. My spirit never walks beyond the narrow limits of our money-changing hole, not to know that any Christian spirit working kindly in its little sphere will find its mortal life too short for its mass means of usefulness.
Jacob, you always were a good man of business.
Business? Humankind was my business. The common welfare was my business. Charity, mercy, forbearance, and benevolence were all my business. Or why did I walk through crowds of fellow beings with my eyes turned down and never raised to the blessed star that led the wise men to a poor abode? To which poor homes with light would have conducted me? Hear me, Jacob, my time is nearly done.
I will, but don't be hard on me.
I have come to warn you that you have a chance of escaping my fate. A path I procured for you, Ebenezer.
You always were a good friend, thank you.
You'll be visited by 3 spirits.
Is this the chance you speak of?
It is.
Well, then I think I'd rather not.
Without their visits, you cannot hope to shun the path I tread. Expect the first one when the bell tolls 1.
Can't they all just come at once and have it over with?
Expect the second upon the same hour, and the third upon the next. When the last stroke of 12 has ceased to vibrate, look to see me no more. And for your sake, take care that you remember what has passed between us.
Scrooge lay in his bed and thought and thought and thought it over and could make nothing of it. The more he thought, the more perplexed he was, and the more he endeavored not to think, the more he thought. Marley's spirit bothered him exceedingly. Every time he resolved within himself that it was all a dream, his mind flew back again, like a strong spring released back to its first position, and presented the same problem to be worked all through.
What time is it? Quarter past. Half past. A quarter to it. And the hour itself, and nothing more.
Scrooge!
Who and what are you?
I am the spirit of Christmas past.
Long past?
No, your past.
Would you turn down that light that accompanies you?
What? Would you so soon put out the light I give? Yours are the dark passions that would extinguish the light of truth.
Yeah, I didn't mean to offend, but why have you come to me?
Your welfare, of course.
I can't think of anything more conducive to my welfare than a night of uninterrupted sleep.
Your reformation, then. Take heed, rise, and walk with me.
I know this place. I was raised here. I was a boy here.
Your lip is trembling. And what is that upon your cheek?
Nothing. It must be a pimple. Lead me where you would.
Do you remember the way, Ebenezer?
Well, of course, I could walk it blindfolded.
Strange that you've forgotten it after so many years.
There's Robert Estes. Hello. Oh.
These are merely the shadows of the things that have been. They are not aware of us.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Hey, say hi to your sister to me.
Don't eat too much pudding.
The school is not quite deserted. A solitary child, neglected by his friends, is left there still.
Poor boy. Our mother died, and our father grew morose and resented me and my sister ever after. I wish, but it's too late now.
What is it?
Oh, it's just there was a boy at my door who was singing a carol, and I would like to have given him something. That's all.
Dear, dear brother. Fan, little Fan. My, how you grown.
I've come to bring you home, dear brother.
Home, little Fan?
Yes, home for good and all. Father is much kinder than he used to be. He was in such a pleasant mood the other night, so much so that I was not afraid to ask him if I should bring you home. And he said yes, and he sent me to bring you. Ebenezer, you're about to begin your career and become a man. You'll never have to spend another moment in this dreadful school. But first, we'll celebrate Christmas and have the merriest time in the world.
Your sister was a frail child and often ill, but she had a large heart.
You're right about that, Spirit. I won't deny it. God forbid.
Come, Ebenezer, pack your things. The carriage is just outside.
But where am I to be apprenticed?
You'll work for a wonderful man, Mr. Fezziwig, who owns a warehouse. Now come, pack your things. We mustn't keep the carriage waiting.
Your sister died a young woman, but she did have a child, as I recall.
Yes, a son. My nephew, Fred Hollowell.
Your nephew, Ebenezer, the only family you have left.
Yes, that is true.
Come along, Ebenezer. It is time to see another Christmas.
Why, this is the place I was apprenticed. But there's old Fezziwig. Oh, Fezziwig alive again. And there's Dick Wilkins. Oh, we were the best of friends.
Yo-ho there! Dick, Ebenezer! No more work tonight, my boys. Clear all this. It's Christmas Eve and life's too short for all work and no play. I say we throw a party. Cheer up, Ebenezer. Hello, Dick.
It's such a small thing to make these silly people feel so much gratitude and joy.
But the small thing.
Is it not? After all, what did he do, this Fezziwig? Spent a few pounds on a party. Does he deserve such praise as this?
Well, it's not just that, Spirit. Mr. Fezziwig has the power to make us happy or unhappy in our work, pleasant or miserable, just the way he looks at us and the way he addresses us. And those little things can add up so much as if they were worth a fortune. And
What?
nothing.
Something, I think.
It's just that I would like to be able to say a word to my clerk. That's all.
Come on. It is time to see another shadow.
This was not addressed to Scrooge, or to anyone whom he could see, but it produced an immediate effect. For again, Scrooge saw himself. He was a little older now, a man in the prime of life. His face had not the harsh and rigid lines of later years, but it had begun to wear the signs of care and avarice. There was an eager, greedy, restless motion in the eye which showed the passion that had taken root, and where the shadow of the growing tree would fall.
I know it matters very little to you. Another idol has displaced me, and if it can make you as happy as I would have wished to try, I have no reason to cry.
What idol has displaced you?
A golden one.
Now there's a double standard for you. All the world speaks so vehemently against poverty, yet it condemns the pursuit of wealth just as harshly.
You fear the world too much, Ebenezer. All your hopes have merged into the one hope of eluding the disdain of others. I've seen all your nobler virtues fall away one by one until there's nothing left but one master passion, the pursuit of profit. It consumes you.
And what then? Even if I have grown wiser and more astute, I haven't changed my feelings towards you.
Oh, Ebenezer, the promise we made to one another is an old one. We made while we were young and poor, and happy to remain so until we can improve our fortune together through patience and hard work. But you're not the same man. You've changed. Tell me, Ebenezer, if none of this had happened, would you still try to seek me out and pursue me? A poor, dowerless girl with nothing to bring to a marriage? Just as I thought. You may feel sad now, Ebenezer, but I have no doubt you'll dismiss the thought of me very soon, as if you were glad to have woken from a bad dream. May you be happy in the life you've chose.
Spirit. What is this? Why do you enjoy torturing me?
There's one more shadow we must see.
Well, I don't wish to see it.
I saw an old friend of yours this afternoon.
Oh, really? Who was it?
Take a guess.
Oh, surely you don't mean old Ebenezer Scrooge.
The very same. I walked past his office window. His partner, Jacob Marley, lies upon the point of death, I do believe. And there he sat, old Scrooge, all alone, quite alone in the world.
Miserable wretch.
Spirit, I beg you, I can bear no more of this. Show me no more.
These are the shadows of the things that have been. They are what they are. Do not blame me.
I beg you, just take me away from this place. I want to see no more. No more.
After this mighty struggle, if that can be called a struggle, Scrooge was conscious of being exhausted and overcome by an irresistible drowsiness, and, further, of being in his own bedroom once again. He barely had time to reel to bed before he sank into a heavy sleep.
Scrooge! Ebenezer Scrooge! Come here and know me better, man. I am the spirit of Christmas present. Never seen the likes of me before, eh?
No, I don't think I have.
You've never walked forth in these later years with my elder brothers?
No. Have you had many brothers?
More than 1,800.
That's a tremendous family to provide for.
Take hold of my arm, Ebenezer Scrooge.
Where, pray tell, are we going?
You will see.
Spirit, is there a peculiar flavor that you sprinkle from your torch?
There is indeed. My own.
Would it apply to any sort of dinner on this day?
to any kindly given, to a poor one
Oh,
most.
why to a poor one most?
Because it needs it most.
Where is your precious father then? Your brother? Tiny Tim? Martha wasn't as late last Christmas by half an hour.
Here I am, Mother!
Martha, how late you are.
We had a great deal of clear away at the milliner's last night and a great deal of clear away this morning.
Martha, Father's gonna be here any minute. Hide! You're home.
Father. Maybe you guys should go show Tim. Yes, the pudding. I made pudding.
Come hear the pudding singing in the copper.
Thank you. I wonder where Martha is. But where is Martha?
Here I am, Father!
Did little Tim behave himself at church? He did. As good as gold and better. Somehow he gets thoughtful sitting by himself and thinks the strangest things you've ever heard. He told me coming home that he hoped the people in the church saw him because he was a cripple and thought it might be pleasant for them to remember on Christmas Day who made lame beggars walk and blind men see. But he's growing stronger every day. I just know it. Oh, Martha, come and look at the goose.
Father, there's such a goose, such as we've never had before. That's what Mom said.
Whoa! Oh.
It wasn't expensive at all, Father. Clearly.
At least it smells good.
Yeah. It looks great, Mother. A Merry Christmas to us all, my dears. God bless us. God bless us,
everyone. I had no idea Cratchit had a crippled son.
I wonder why.
Tell me, Spirit, will the boy live?
I see a vacant seat at this table and a crutch without an owner, carefully preserved. If these shadows remain unaltered by the future, the child shall die.
What? No, Spirit, say it isn't so.
If these shadows remain unaltered by the future, none other of my race will find him here. Oh, but what difference does it make? If he is to die, then let him die and decrease the surplus population.
You use my own words against me.
Yes, so that in the future, perhaps you will hold your tongue until you know what the surplus population is and where it is. Who are you to decide who shall live and who shall die? Maybe that in the sight of heaven you are more worthless and less fit to live than millions like this poor man's child.
And now, a toast to the founder of our feast, Mr. Scrooge.
Founder of our feast, indeed. Wish I had him here. Give him peace of my mind to feast upon, hope he'd have good appetite for it.
My dear, Christmas Day. The children?
It should be Christmas Day when one would drink to the health of such an odious, stingy, hard, unfeeling man as Ebenezer Scrooge. No one knows it better than you, Bob.
Have a little charity.
Fine. I'll drink for the day's sake, and yours, but not for his. Long life to him. A very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I have no doubt he'll be very merry indeed and very happy.
To Mr. Scrooge.
To Mr. Scrooge!
I think it's time for a song.
A Christmas carol.
What shall we sing?
I have an idea. Hark
the herald
angels
sing, glory to the newborn King.
He said that Christmas was a humbug. He believed it, too.
More shame for him, Fred.
He's really a comical fellow, and not so pleasant as he may seem. However, his offenses carry their own punishment, and I have nothing to say against him.
I'm sure he's very rich, Fred. At least you always tell me so.
But his riches are of no use to him. He doesn't do any good with it. He doesn't make himself comfortable with it, and I sincerely doubt he would ever consider benefiting us with it. Oh, never.
Well, I have no pity for him.
Oh, but I have. Who suffers by his ill whims? Himself, always. Here, he takes it into his own head to dislike us and won't come and dine with us. I mean, what's the consequence? He loses out on some pleasant moments, which could do him no harm. And I mean to give him the same chance each year, whether he likes it or not. And I think I may have cracked the old boy yesterday, if I do say so myself. He's given us plenty of merriment, I am sure. He'll be ungrateful not to drink to his health. So here's to Uncle Scrooge. Uncle Scrooge!
You know, normally I would be offended at such banter and laughter at my expense, but seeing the general gaiety of the occasion, I'm inclined to overlook it.
It's quite noble of you.
Spirit, forgive me if I'm wrong for asking, but there's something not of yourself protruding from under your robes. Is that a foot? Or a claw?
It may be a claw for all the flesh there is on it.
Spirit, are they yours?
No, they are yours. Do you not know them?
No.
This is ignorance, and this is want. Beware them in all of their kind, but most of all, beware this one. For on her brow I see written the word doom, if the writing be erased. I dare you to deny it. I dare you to slander those who claim otherwise, and see where it leads.
Have they no refuge or resource?
Are there no prisons? Are there no workhouses?
I take it I'm in the presence of the spirit of Christmas yet to come? And you will show me things that have not happened yet, but that will happen in the time before us. Spirit, I fear you more than any specter I've seen. Will you not speak to me? Lead on, then. The night is passing fast. It is precious time to me. Lead me where you would, Spirit. Why, I know these men. I know this place. This is the stock exchange. It's a second home to me.
No, I don't know much about it. All I know is he's dead.
Well, when did he die?
Last night, I believe.
What's the matter with him? I thought he'd never died.
God knows.
What has he done with his money?
Didn't leave it with me. He probably left it with his company.
Well, it's likely to be a cheap funeral. I don't know anybody who would go to it. Suppose we make up a party and volunteer.
I don't mind going, if lunch is provided. But I must be fed for all the trouble it's worth.
Well, it matters very little to me either way. I never wear black gloves and I never eat, but I'll offer to go if anyone else will. We'll off to business. Goodbye now. Goodbye.
Have these men no sense of decency? Or decorum? Spirit, what is this? Why am I seeing this?
I was here first, Mrs. Dilber shall be after me, and then the undertaker's man can be third. Isn't it something, Joe? All of us met here without meaning it.
Ah, well, it is not any trouble at all coming. You've met me at just the right time.
What odds, then? What odds, Mrs. Dilber? Every person has a right to take care of themselves. He always did.
Yes, indeed. No man more so.
Well, don't stand staring as if he was afraid, woman.
No, indeed.
Who's the wiser? We're not going to stand here and pick holes in each other's coats, I suppose.
We should hope not.
Very well, then. Who's the worse for the loss of a few things like these? Not a dead man, I suppose.
No, indeed.
If he wanted to keep him after he was dead, the wicked old screw, he should have been more natural in his lifetime. Maybe then he would have had someone to look after him while he was struck with death, instead of lying there gasping his last all alone by himself.
It's the truest word that ever was said, Mrs. Oliver. It's a judgment on him.
I wish it was a little heavier one. Should have been. You can count on it. If I could have gotten my hands on anything else. Now open my bundle, old Joe, and let me know if it's value to you. Speak out plain. I'm not afraid to be the first, nor afraid for them to see it. And besides, we all knew we were helping ourselves before we met here today, and it's not a sin to see one's livelihood.
Mr. Tackleton has been a very busy man. Let's see what's in here. A pencil case, sleeve buttons. Mr. Tackleton, I will give you £1.08 and not another penny more if I was to be boiled for it. Next. Mrs. Dilber, this is quite a stash. As you know, I always give too much to the ladies. It's a weakness of mine. It's how I ruin myself. I'm so funny. Okay, Mrs. Dilber, I'll give ye £4 even, and another 6p, but not another penny if I was to be boiled for it.
Now open my bundle, Ojo.
Yes. What would you call these? Bed curtains?
Bed curtains!
I hope you didn't take these down with him lying there.
And why not? He wasn't apt to catch us cold without them.
I hope he didn't die of anything catching, eh?
Oh, don't you be afraid of that. I wasn't so fond of his company that I'd loiter about if he did.
Now you may look through that shirt until your eyes ache, but you won't find a hole nor a threadbare place. It's the best he had. Fine one, too. They'd have wasted it if it hadn't been for me.
What do you mean by wasting it, Mrs. Oliver?
Well, by putting it on him to be buried in it.
Okay, Mrs. Oliver, I'll give ye £3, 6 shillings, and 2p, and not another penny if I was to be boiled for it.
So, this is how it ends. He scared all of us away while he was alive, to profit from him when we were dead.
Spirit, this is a fearful place. Surely there could be no reason to bring me to this God-forsaken part of the city, except that the case of this unhappy man might be my own. I guess the items they have stolen are similar to mine. I see the point, but surely there would be someone who would feel some emotion connected with this man's death. I mean, you show that person to me. I beg you.
Oh, finally you've come, Thomas. What have you heard? Is it good or bad?
It is bad, I'm afraid.
What? Has he denied you the extra time that you've asked for? Has he evicted us? Thomas, are we ruined?
No, there's hope yet, Caroline.
Only if he repents, that old miser. Nothing is past hope if such a miracle has occurred.
He's past repenting, dear. He's dead.
Dead? Oh, Lord be praised. Oh, Lord, forgive me.
I thought he was merely trying to avoid me, but what I've been told is quite true. It seems that if he was ill, even then, he was dying.
Well, to whom will our debt be transferred?
I don't know, but in the meantime, we'll get ready with the money. It would be bad fortune indeed to find a creditor as merciless as he. We may sleep with light hearts tonight, Caroline.
Spirit, I asked to be shown some emotion connected with this man's death, but you were shown only joy. I demand to be shown some tenderness connected with a death.
And he took a child, and he set him in the midst of them. And he said to them, when you welcome a little child, you welcome me.
Hey. Color hurts my eyes. Candlelight makes them weak, and I wouldn't show weak eyes to your father, not when he comes home. Not for the world. Must be near his time.
Past it, rather. I think he's walked a little slower these past few evenings, Mother.
Yes, I've known him to walk with Tiny Tim upon his shoulders. Very fast indeed. But he was a little child, and your father loved him so it's no trouble. No trouble at all. Is that your father now? Hi, Father.
I went by there today. That's why I'm late. I wish you could have been there. It would have done you good to see just how green it is. But we'll be seeing it often, as I promised to visit him every Sunday, you see. But guess who I saw today? Fred Hollowell, Mr. Scrooge's nephew. I met him out in the street, and, well, he saw that I was a little down, and he is the most pleasant-speaking man I have ever seen. And so I was not afraid to tell him. And this is what he said to me. I am heartily sorry, Mr. Cratchit. Heartily sorry. And he pledged to be of any assistance he could to us. He even gave me his card and said I should call on him at home. It's as if he had really known our Tiny Tim and felt with us. And I've got good news for you, Peter.
What is it, Father?
Mr. Hollowell said that he's been able to secure an apprenticeship for you. 8 shillings a week, starting Tuesday next.
8 shillings a week?
Soon you'll be setting house with a young lady, Peter.
That will happen soon enough, but however and whenever we part from one another, none of us will ever forget our poor Tiny Tim, shall we?
Never, Father.
And I know as well, my dears, that when we remember how patient and mild he was, although he was a little child, we shall not quarrel amongst ourselves and forget our little Tim in doing it.
Never, Mother. We won't.
Spirit, I sense that the time of our parting is at hand. I know it, but I don't know how. Tell me, the man who was spoken of, the man who died, tell me who he was. Before I draw near to that stone, answer me this. Are these shadows of things that will be or things that just may be only? The course of a man's life, if persevered in, will determine certain ends. I accept that, but if the man leaves that course, his ends must change. Say it is so with what you show me. No. No, it cannot be. Am I that man? Am I that man who died and no one mourned? Say it isn't so, Spirit. Say it isn't so. I am not the man I was. I'm not the man I would be, but for your intervention. Why show me this if I'm past all hope? Surely your nature intercedes for me and pities me. Assure me that I may change these shadows with a changed life. The spirit of Christmas will strive within me through all the year. The spirit of the past, I shall learn from the past. I shall live in the present, and I will live toward the future. The spirits of all three will strive within me. I will not shout out the lessons they teach. Oh, tell me that I may smudge away the writing on this stone. What day is it? It's morning, but what day? The spirit? Why, they're still here. I'm still here. I'm alive. The spirits have done it. I don't know what to do. I'm as happy as a feather. I'm as merry as a schoolboy. Oh. Hello, dear boy. What day is it? What day is it?
What day is it?
Yes, what day is it?
Why, it's Christmas Day.
It's Christmas Day. Are you quite sure, my fine fellow?
I would say I am.
Well, then the spirits have done it all in one night. Well, of course they have. They can do anything they want. Hello, how are you doing, my fine boy?
Oh.
Do you know the poulterers on the next street but one at the corner?
I would say I did.
What a remarkable boy, yes. Do they still have the prize turkey that was hanging there?
What, the one as big as me?
Well, yes, what a remarkable boy. Pleasure talking to him. Yes, the one as big as you.
Why, it's hanging there now.
It is? What? You must go and buy it. You must go and buy it. Please! No, I promise. You must go and buy it. Come here with the man, and I'll give you a shilling. I'll come back within less than 5 minutes, and I'll give you half a crown. I'll send it to the home of Bob Cratchit. He won't know who sent it. I won't tell him. That turkey is twice the size of Tiny Tim. Tiny Tim. Tiny Tim. He will live on my soul. He will live. Oh, the spirits, they have done it. Spirits of past, present, and future shall strive within me. On my knees, dear Lord, I say it, on my knees. A Merry Christmas to everybody and a Happy New Year to all the world. There you are. Ah, the turkey. How do you do, my fine fellow?
Doing well.
Now, that turkey, it is as big as Tiny Tim. It's as big as you, my lad. And Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, sir.
Wow, that's too big to carry to Camden Town.
Camden Town, sir.
Yes, you must need a cab. You will deliver this immediately to the home of Bob Cratchit and family. And, let me go get you the money. Here's the money. Here's the money for the turkey.
Thank you, sir.
And here's the money for the cab.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, dear, sorry. Here's the money for the cab. And here's a tip for you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
And for you, my boy, here is half a crown. Very well deserved. Yes, very well deserved.
Thank you, sir.
And a very Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Oh, good sir, good sir. Pleasure to see you again. It was a very good thing that you did yesterday. Yes, a very, very good thing.
Mr. Scrooge?
Why, yes, that is my name. I'm afraid it may not be pleasant to you. Let me ask your forgiveness. And yours too, sir. And will you have the goodness to...
Why? Mr. Scrooge, are you quite serious?
Well, yes, quite sure. And a great many back payments are included with that, of course.
Well, I don't know what to say for such generosity.
Oh, no, don't say anything. Just come and see me sometime, will you? Both of you.
We will.
We will.
We will.
Very Merry
We'll
Christmas.
certainly will.
I'm much obliged to you. I thank you 50 times over. Merry Christmas.
Would you believe it if I told you Scrooge went to church that day? He did, and walked about the streets, and watched the people hurrying to and fro, and patted the children on the head as they passed, and questioned beggars, and looked down into the kitchens of houses, and up to the windows, and found that everything could yield him pleasure. He had never dreamed that any walk, that anything at all, could give him so much happiness. In the afternoon, he turned his steps toward his nephew's house.
Oh, Fred, it's beautiful, and it's too much. You shouldn't have spent so much.
Oh, but I love you, my dear, and my wife shall have nothing but the best on Christmas Day.
I love you too, but not just for this.
I know, my dear, I know.
Who could that be?
I don't know. No one's expected this hour.
Hello.
Uncle Scrooge?
Yes, it is I, your Uncle Scrooge. I recall an invitation you made to me to dine with you. If that invitation is still open, I'd like to accept.
Oh, I don't know what to say.
Well, you could say bah humbug, a retort I heavily repent of and shall never use again, or you could say Merry Christmas and come in.
Come in? Why, of course. Of course you shall come in. Hurrah, Uncle Scrooge, you've made us both very happy. Oh, may I introduce you to my wife, Janet? Janet, my Uncle Scrooge.
Pleasure meeting you. I see why my nephew chose you among women.
Thank you, Uncle Scrooge. We're very happy you're here.
And nephew, I'm terribly sorry for the things I said on Christmas and the poor reception I gave you was so undeserved. You know, I see the image of my sister in your face. And she loved you. And she loved me too.
I know it, Uncle Scrooge. She loved you very much as well, and wished until her dying day that we should be very close.
And so we are. And so we shall be. So we shall be. What's this?
Good morning, sir.
You were late, Mr. Cratchit?
Yes, sir. I'm very sorry, sir. I'm behind my time.
Step this way, if you please.
It was only once a year, sir. It shall not be repeated. I was making rather merry with my family yesterday.
My friend, I will not tolerate this any longer. And therefore, I'm going to double your salary. Yes, Bob Cratchit, I'm going to double your salary. A very Merry Christmas. A Merry Christmas that I've given you in many a year. Now, don't worry about that. We'll just, we'll discuss particulars over a pot of smoking bishop. And before you so much as dot another I, Bob Cratchit.
Scrooge was better than his word. He did it all, and infinitely more. And to Tiny Tim, who did not die, he was a second father. He became as good a friend, as good a master, and as good a man as the good old city knew. And ever afterward, it was always said of Ebenezer Scrooge that he truly knew how to keep Christmas, and keep it well, if any man alive possessed the knowledge. May that be truly said of us, and all of us. And so, as Tiny Tim observed, God bless us, everyone!